agenda this week. Shopping for one of those ones that makes noise.
The
For crowd
Diablo?
gathering.
Oh, yeah.
Stand in the street, then.
Well, that's good. I mean, anytime you can just kind of like make a noise, but that's not really a performance art. That's just like...
No, at that point, it's just a funky thing that makes noise that stops people for just long enough to go, hey, guess what?
Guess what? Like fire.
Guess what's about to happen over here?
It's funny. I don't like to admit it. Certain fairs are different. I don't want to... We won't do any naming here because we're shooting right now. But some fairs, you can get a crowd just by being witty and funny on stage. But some fairs, you got to light the torch and hold it above your head. And I always feel like a little creepy doing that. But I might do it today. Guys, I'm hanging out here mornings at the Florida Renaissance Fair with Tuey. Now, let me just pause for a second. Say hello to the nice people, Tuey. This is the lens.
Hello, nice people.
Okay. Now, you're a one-named Ren Fair act. A relatively famous one, I may add.
I'd like to think so.
I think you are. You've been around longer than me, of course, because but one name, Tuey. Where'd that name come from?
So Tuey is a nickname from childhood that stuck. I was the fifth of six kids, and older siblings would call me Tuey because it would get a rise out of me, and I'd get upset. And of course, that was fun for them. Why did they start calling me that?
Yeah.
Literally, no one remembers.
Because you're not the second kid, which would imply
No.
Tuey.
No.
Okay. And it's not spelled that way.
No one remembers. A couple times, I swear I'd heard stories. I checked later with the person. They go, no, that doesn't sound familiar. My mother didn't remember. Nobody. So what I do remember is in 5th grade, my oldest brother and one of his friends rode it on my snow skis. We literally lived within walking distance of a little ski area in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis.
Okay.
Highland Hills, if you know it. And like Magic Marker, they wrote it on my skis.
Okay.
And I was rather upset about it.
Okay.
But I couldn't get it off. So it was like,
Okay.
okay, fine.
Spelled the way that you currently spell it?
As far as I know, that's yes. And as far as I know, that's the first time it had ever been spelled.
And it's spelled, again?
Tuey.
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 So some kids thought they'd call you
know,
Tuey and then spell it in kind of an unusual way.
So as far as I know, my oldest brother and his friends decided, how do we spell Tuey, and came up with Tuey, to the best of my recollection.
Okay.
And so by 5th grade, I was Tuey and have been ever since. And I know it was official when at one point in 5th grade, the gym teacher referred to me as Tuey.
Well, I think that's the life rule. When a
Yes.
gym teacher calls you something, that's your name.
Exactly. So everything official still
Okay.
says Steven.
Okay. Oh, I was about to say, do we
Yes.
say your real name and you just dropped it?
It's Steven. Now, the only one, my mother pretty much always called me Steven. She passed away a couple years ago, so I think I've got one sister-in-law that refers to me as Steven.
I met you as Tuey at
Yes.
the Georgia Renaissance Fair.
Correct.
The old site? No, new. Well, you tell me.
I bet probably Old Site. Yeah, Old Site for sure.
You sure?
I can remember picturing you in that one where you'd get people on both sides, it kind of just a covering thing.
Yes.
And you were in the, I remember that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
for sure,
Where
old
and where
site.
were you those years at that old site?
At first, I was just on some kind of stage not that far after you came in that wasn't like one of the main stages.
Yeah, you were. Oh,
But
you
it
were
worked
like
well for me.
you were in the round.
And then I eventually, kind of, more so facing one way.
Oh, was
I mean,
it?
they could
Okay.
watch from the back,
Oh,
but it was
okay.
just kind of a hill.
Okay.
And then I ended up on the Enchanted Glen
At the new site.
at the new site. Yeah, against at least 2 jousts.
Now Now we've chatted a little bit. And I haven't seen you in years. So it was,
Right.
and I did I know you? I don't think I knew you were going to be here. I don't think I did. Saturday morning.
know.
What's that?
I said, I don't know. When I got the schedule this week, I checked to see, because I knew you'd been here in the past. I knew Kamikaze Fireflies had been here, and I was going, well, I hope those guys are down there. I'd love to see those guys. And then when I looked and went, hey, Brune's here, Mooney's here,
Yeah.
Kamikazes are here. Excellent.
Go. Now you started in the Ren Fair business at one of the big Kahuna fairs, at least
Yes.
east of the Mississippi. Of course, Ren Fair
Right.
started in California, and they've changed ownership hands, and
Right.
people kind of understand that.
Yes.
The oldest one being the one outside of LA.
Yes.
But the one east of the Mississippi that really had the big influence was Minnesota.
Minnesota,
right?
and that's one of the oldest ones. It'll be coming up this year. It'll be its 54th year. 54 years plus one festival drive-through. 2020.
Right. Well, oh, really? What did they do?
They did a food drive-through. People could drive in, and get food from some of the places.
And what, shows?
And no show. I actually was doing little bits for the cars that were coming down the hill to the food that was right near where stage was. And I had buckets on either side that they could reach out their car window and drop money in.
Really?
I don't know if that was a thing here, but Minnesota, like the state fair, they did a food drive-through.
Okay.
So events that weren't happening, some of them actually did food drive-throughs.
They did. Six Flags, not Disney, but Six
Yeah.
Flags up north of LA did a drive-through to see decorations and stuff.
Right.
I guess for the holidays. But
Right.
this was in the summer.
So this was August, September. They
Okay.
didn't. They started.
When it normally would have been on.
It started 2 or 3 weeks later than when it normally would have been on. And they
Okay.
actually ran a little into October.
Okay.
So it was just, they said, well, let's try it and see what happens. And
Why not? We
and,
got the land.
You know, so they charge a car a certain amount to get in.
Right.
And drive around the festival. Then there'd be whatever, people could be selling stuff. There were a couple acts that were selling either, if they had stuff, they could
How come
sell
they didn't?
it.
It seems a perfect
or-
time to do a show. In a
Somewhat.
way, some
I mean,
kind of
they're
entertainment.
kind of moving, and
Oh,
as far as I know, I might have been the only one that was actually like trying to do
Right.
bits of my show, as
Okay.
opposed to an entertainer who now I'm going to sell you cotton candy or something else,
right.
and I get a cut of that,
Sure.
and try and be entertaining while I do it.
When
Which
did you
there was some
start
of
at that show?
going on.
When did you start at that show?
1981.
81.
I was 19 years old.
19 years old.
I went to
Were
the.
you already a performer?
No.
Had you already done shows outside of the Ren Fair? And
Not-
now,
like twice.
okay.
No, I had gone there fall of my senior year of high school, which
Okay.
would have been 79,
Okay.
because a friend of mine said, oh, there's jugglers at the Renaissance. You like juggling, you should go there, because I'd just really gotten into juggling that summer. Although I'd learned, like, in about 8th grade from my next oldest brother, who for some reason knew how.
3E.
And there you go. So I went down to, so I went to the festival and saw all these jugglers and went, that's pretty cool.
Who'd you see?
Steve Russell,
Okay.
Fudd,
Some
the
name
Incredible
drop.
Juggler,
Sure. Some name dropping
Rhyming Randy Aronson.
here. Okay. Did he really rhyme?
He really did rhyme.
Wow.
His entire show.
Wow.
Yeah, did like a
I could never do that.
like a 7-ball flash.
Wow.
Or something. And
Not to be confused with the sexual position, the 7-ball flash and the Karma Sutra.
If you
Sorry,
say so.
I,
Okay.
Sorry, I get blue a little bit. You know that.
yeah. I don't.
I know you don't. I know.
And
I regretted it the second it left my mouth.
that happens. Anyhow,
That's all right. Enough of that.
so that was fall of my senior year, right?
And you had no show yet. You could juggle.
And I had no show, and I could juggle some, and was learning clubs and clubs and rings and things. And so senior year of high school, what are you gonna do with your life?
You're asking
right?
me right now? It's a little
No,
late.
I'm just telling you.
Oh,
I had
okay.
no clue what I might want to go to college to study or become.
Okay.
I thought I don't need to go spend my dad's money on that. My oldest brother did enough of that already, but he didn't know what he was doing. So
no family stuff here, Terry.
sorry.
It's not a place to fix your
We all
family.
know. He did fine.
You made a show.
And so I literally I try. So I went the next year again to the festival. Just saw all the jugglers. That year Jim Ridgely was out there, rope walker. First time I saw rope walking. And then the next year I tried out and got hired as a little street juggler because at the time the entertainment director Lee Walker was hiring way too many little street juggling acts.
That's
Thank
what
goodness.
I hear. That's what
Thank
I
goodness.
hear. I've never
Yes.
done that show, but one thing I heard, it was thick with jugglers.
Back then a lot of and
Jugglers, puke and snot, and everything
like
else jugglers.
New jugglers, not
Accomplished
there
good
were
ones.
ones on the stages, and then those of us who were just getting lane spots.
Right.
And so basically, you within a year or two, you either go, wow, I see this is getting better. I seem to have something, or
Right.
you go, maybe I should go to college, which a
Okay.
number of them did. And
What did you do?
I did not go to college.
Oh, okay.
Each year, I made more money. I'd get a stage early in the day, late in the day,
Right.
something else. Then a couple.
It's almost
years
like the
in-
life's decision is made for you.
Somewhat, yeah.
When
And
you're open to it.
yeah, and then at
And
one
you
point,
weren't.
I added 3-4 years in, I added rope walking because I knew that would get me a spot between those trees, and that's a better spot than the lane spot that they
Right.
were putting me, and
Oh,
stuff like that.
okay. It was Machiavellian in
And
choice.
if you say so.
Well, in other words, it wasn't just I want to learn rope walking, but I
No.
know if I do, I'll get to be over
Right.
there.
Well,
I'm
both.
making a little joke.
Very much both, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And
it worked. You did get moved
and
to
it
the better
worked,
spot.
and I did. And then this one spot, I was getting it early in the day because Phil Belknap, Flip Phillip, had that spot. That was his spot between the trees,
Okay.
basically. And then he didn't come back one year, and so then I nabbed the spot between the trees. And at the time, there was no stage there. It wasn't even called a stage on the site. It was,
Were you nervous the first time you went out? When you were in the lane doing a show, you're on the schedule. Tuey.
Yes. Well,
12 o'clock, whenever your show was.
My very first show
Yeah.
was at what was called the Children's Play Area, which at the time was a big rock and some sand.
Okay.
Just a lane spot.
Kids like sand.
You know,
they like
and
rocks.
Not on any schedule. Just I know I'm supposed to be here.
Oh, no schedule. Just whenever you want to go.
It was like at the Minnesota Festival anyway. There's all these. You'll see musicians playing in the lanes and stuff. Mm-hmm. Those are actually specific spots that are scheduled all day long.
Okay.
But patrons don't have that information.
Okay.
Only entertainers do. The patrons get the stage information. But these lane spots that are pretty much, as far as, at least they were back then. I think they still are.
Okay.
Not 100% sure.
Okay.
So that's what I had, one of those. And I still remember, okay, there's people going by.
Yeah.
Here I'm with, now how do I get them to stop?
And you're 19, 20?
19.
19, okay.
And I'm not an outgoing person. I am an introvert.
Okay.
So I'm yelling. And I made $1.75 at that first show, which was enough to buy lunch. That's how long ago that was. I got a cheddar wurst.
At a Ren Fair, you can buy a whole cheddar wurst for $1.75.
Oh yeah, so that was the other thing. My contract.
God, you are old.
My contract at the time just said street juggler.
Okay.
Whatever that meant. Mm-hmm. And I literally only had 2 spots scheduled on those lanes.
Right.
That first weekend, unless I just missed the other ones.
Okay.
And then the second one I did. I made like $14 and went, oh, this might work.
Right. Right. I had a similar experience when I first busked. I was already performing in a cabaret in Annapolis, but I'd never passed hat before. And I went down to audition for Harbor Place, the famous Baltimore.
I haven't performed there, but I've been there.
But you're aware of it. And you have to audition, again, you get scheduled. And part of the audition, they want to see you do your hat line. You only had like a 15-minute block. Couldn't do your whole chunk. You do one chunk of a show, and then they wanted to see how polite you were in passing the hat.
Right.
And I passed hat, and I think I was 20 at the time, maybe 19, same age as you. And more than $1.75 a little later. I'm a little younger than you, but I think I made something like 20.
Right.
And I was like, oh, because I thought I was only going to make $5.
Right.
And I made 20. I was like, wait a minute. And I've interviewed a lot of people in this series too. I'll tell you that have had similar experiences, and you and I have had it.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything. I can't go through all the names right now, but there seems to be this thing where an artist, a creative type person, goes, "I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want." Then an opportunity presents themselves, and of course we're here at a Renaissance Fair, and often that is the opportunity, and you go, "Oh, this can work.
Right.
This can work." I don't know if it leads anywhere.
Yeah. Right.
You're still here.
We'll see.
I'm still here. Yeah, there's still a chance Hollywood might find us.
No, 44 years in, I'm actually doing more Renaissance festivals this year than I've ever done in my life.
Oh, wow.
Doing 4.
Okay.
Now, I didn't know that last fall.
What were you doing gigs in and around the Twin Cities?
Yeah, so summertime, county fairs is like, summer kind of takes care of itself being at home. County fairs and whatever, summer type things.
Do you really?
And in the past, I have worked Branson, Missouri, for 2-3 months at a time. I was the pre-show at Dolly Parton's Dixie Stampede.
Cool.
I did that for off and on from 2002 to 2000.
I got to ask, dude.
Nobody cares. And then 2012 to 2015. Anyway,
that's fine. That's great. But everybody out there wants me to ask this question right now, and I think her name's just on it. Did you get to meet?
I never got to meet Miss Parton.
A national treasure.
She was never there when I was there, or at least if she did, I didn't see her.
Because I'm assuming it's a review show with her name on it.
Yeah, so it's like it's the main show is in an arena. If you're familiar with medieval times, but think Civil War era.
Okay,
North side of the audience versus south side of the audience. Oh God. Horse trick ride, whatever.
Did anybody in Tennessee
a whole meal with no silverware? No silverware. Chicken.
Did anybody in Tennessee?
Missouri is where.
Missouri. Branson. You're right.
Yeah, the Branson one. Yes, there is one in Tennessee as well.
But that changes things. But I think that's I was going to assume that people in Tennessee would not want to be on the northern side. But Missouri, I'm not sure of the Civil War history. I think that was a northern state, but who knows?
I mean, but a lot of people are just visiting from all over.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, it's like I don't know if you even get to choose. You can get your tickets and they stick you somewhere.
Are you still enjoying it?
I am still enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm still I am still enjoying practicing. A couple hours in a room with a high ceiling by myself is still 2 of my favorite hours.
Wow.
There's still harder stuff I want to try and learn to do. Some just for myself, some for performing.
Now, can I ask you a personal question between Tuey and Brian? Does it bother you at all that since you've met me, I have never improved, and yet I still do pretty well in this business?
No.
Okay.
No. I'm not saying there might be some people that doesn't, but not you. No.
Because whenever I hear about people practicing, because I went the comedy way hard.
Right, because I always think of you as you're more of the comedian that does some stuff. Well, okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
Jim Van Hook of the Zucchini Brothers.
We love Jim.
Way back when. Okay. Once describing their show versus my show, which was perfect.
Two-man juggling act.
Two-man juggling act, Zucchini Brothers. And Jim said, we juggle a little so we can go on stage and act.
Okay.
I act a little so I can go on stage and juggle.
Yeah.
And that's very much, I mean, since I was 6 and could ski better than all the other 6 and 7, kids at the ski area, and people would notice and make comment of it.
You learn quick.
I've just been more than happy to show off physical skill to anyone that wants to see him since I was a child.
Now, and knowing Tuey for as long as I have, he is absolutely, in this business, probably easily the most, solo-wise, the most skilled physical person.
Thank you.
Can I say that to you? I just did.
You can. That's one of the reasons I do what I do, is so I hear things like that.
Okay.
Honestly.
But sometimes accidents happen because you do some dangerous stuff.
Yes.
Now, you had an accident.
I did. Yes. Okay. July 20th, 2021.
Is the footage available online?
I've not. I only show it personally to people who are interested. I've decided, it's not really something I try to watch online. So
he showed it to me right before he went live here, guys.
I'll save it. If I ever decide to do America's Got Talent, that can be my storyline. We'll save it for that.
Tuey was found, and I'll show you in a hospital bed, getting better, juggling one ball. You're on your ladder.
So I have a ladder, and I have foot plates that sit on the top of the ladder, so I'm standing above the entire ladder. If you think of a ladder, you would lean against the wall.
Yeah.
It's specially made. It's not. It's 6 feet tall.
So arm, or leg, and then there's your feet, and then you're way up there.
Yes. And I had made new foot plates the weekend before. I didn't thoroughly test them. It turned out that they moved a little bit.
Oh dear.
And
that's not good.
No. I had tested them like with half the ladder, which is different than doing the whole ladder. And so at the show on Tuesday, the Duluth Public Library in Duluth, Minnesota.
Those kids are traumatized, by the way.
About roughly 200 small children.
And there's I believe, we're on the bottom of the screen right now, you're going to see that there's a GoFundMe for the mental health of these children. Watching my buddy Tuey take a face.
I climb the ladder, and the next thing I know, I am waking up in an ambulance with 2 broken wrists.
Oh.
So it turns
out stitch right there.
So as I come to in the ambulance, the thought going through my head is, that doesn't feel right. It feels like those are moving.
Yeah.
Well, I think if I just stand up straight.
Oh, you mean the foot plates?
The foot plates.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
If I just stand up straight and keep my head, and keep myself straight up and down, I should be fine.
Okay.
So apparently that was my last thought before I stood up, and then I did get video 3 days later. You're not going to see it, but
you don't want to. See
and I went down, hands, head, to a cement surface, and I literally woke up in the ambulance.
Okay.
And then they, at the hospital, because I blacked out, they scanned my brain.
Yeah. And
they had the gall to come into that room and say, "Your brain looks normal."
Okay.
That can't be right.
Well, you wanted to have superpowers?
Well, no, I just, no one's going to believe that.
Okay.
Before I fell, no one's going to believe that.
We got to wrap things up, too, because we had to get to work.
Yes.
But I always ask everybody to interview this same question. If you don't have an answer for it, it's totally cool. But I think it's a fun philosophical thing. At what point in your working day, and it could be anything, could be a joke, could be a trick. You kind of already alluded, maybe it's 2 hours, I don't know. But I want to know about your show, where you find yourself experiencing the most joy. And again, you can demur and go, yeah, I don't want to answer that.
No.
Okay.
Obviously, if I've got a particularly big reaction from something from the crowd, this one trick I do, a combination trick. It's a whole bunch of different things: ring spinning an arm, juggling rings, ring spinning foot, and stuff. And that's a trick that I like things that involve the whole body, and that's to me is my quintessential whole body trick. And when it is like right there, perfect, and it just everything, toilet paper unrolls up here just perfectly.
Yeah.
That's one of those.
It gets ridiculous.
It just, because again, I'm a physical skill guy.
Sure.
When that one works, it's kind of like this, yes.
Yeah. And then when you add the
skill.
fart, 11 things.
I haven't done that in forever.
I love that joke. Tuey, right now I'm doing this with my hand because I'm reminding myself in the edit to put your bona fides down here as a graphic at the bottom of the screen.
Okay.
If people do want to find you, do you have a web presence so people can find you?
Yeah, I do. That really desperately needs updating.
Why don't you tell them where it is?
Tuey, Tuey, Wilson.com.
It's right there.
I am on Facebook and Instagram,
Okay.
and those are things I should probably start posting on.
Sure. And
It's been a long time.
And tell them right down there where they can find you the rest of this season, other than this fair. Obviously.
Okay, so I will be at the Georgia Renaissance Festival for the whole run this spring.
Awesome.
I will be at a county fair at the end of July in Minnesota. I don't remember which one. Somebody's wedding in June. Minnesota Renaissance Festival will be my 44th.
Just the public stuff,
yeah,
right?
it'll be my 44th year this fall, and then for the first year ever, right after Minnesota, I will be doing the Texas Renaissance Festival. I just found out this week.
Congratulations.
So-
Guys, Tuey Wilson, when you see him on your grid at a local Renaissance fair, and I'm sorry this video, I'm noticing the whole time we're super backlit, but I think in the edit I'll be able to brighten this up a bit. Check him out. Easily the most physically skilled person I know. And I played disc golf with this guy a lot, and you took to it because we were all kind of getting into it around the same time.
I'd been
Clark,
into it for a while.
you were into it?
I'd been into
'Cause
it.
Clark
I'm the
was
one that
good.
got the rest of you all going.
did you?
Yeah.
Because I never got great at it.
Yeah.
So it's great hanging out with you. Tuey, I always let my guests say goodbye, right down the lens, say goodbye in whatever way you want to. It's this is the lens. What are you leaning in for?
I don't know.
Just right there.
All right. It's so fancy. Goodbye. Thank you for watching this. And, just remember, move more of you, more often, in more ways, in more different environments.
Ooh. Dude, did you just write that just now?
Katie Bowman, biomechanist.
Oh, okay. Very cool. Bye, everybody.